the biggest challenges you see graduate students face when trying to break into the higher education administration roles?
Yeah, so that I love that question because it's sort of a little bit of a two-parter. One is that typically when people go into higher education, one, it's not a career path that most people think about until they've gone through higher education themselves. So
Yeah.
like in pre-K to 12 in the US education system, like that is kind of the, you know, that is the education system. So when people think about going into careers, you're thinking about being a teacher in those grades. And it's not really until you've gone through higher education yourself that it becomes sort of a viable career path, which in a sense is a very big cutoff for a lot of people in the US, like given like the education level. So there is that part there. The second part of higher ed administration kind of challenge is knowing the kind of support that's needed and that people want to focus on as you are going through. Um, in higher ed, we talk about populations of students. There's the traditional student and the non-traditional student. Inherently, graduate students are non-traditional students. It is still very rare. I mean, I don't have the percentages off my head, but the amount of professionals that go on to get a master's is rare. And then on top of that, it's when working in higher education, there is sort of this, you have to go through higher education to become a higher education administrator to then understand like what the system is about. So it's a lot of, I don't want to say um, like secular almost, like it feels very like insider a little bit, but the more that people discover it as a career, you have to then do a lot of digging into what kind of students you want to support, what's the kind of specialties that you want to do. So again, like I went from working with undergrads in career services to wanting to explore academic advising at one point, and now I'm really focused on graduate students in with these specific degree programs. And then on top of that, a challenge is that a lot of the job titles that exist in higher education are very general until you get into understanding the populations you have to work with. So at face value, I remember my job title, assistant director of graduate career services, that can mean anything. But even here at Baruch, a lot of people think of the business school.
Yeah.
Or, if you go to like Fordham, you're also thinking business or education. So really understanding like, okay, I'm going to do career services. But then I'm going to specialize with graduate students. And that I have colleagues that focus at other institutions. So they only work with, doctoral students, that sort of thing. And you can use that same logic with academic advising, with financial aid. Like there are a lot of caveats to what kind of advising that people want to do or like what kind of specialty that they want to go into higher ed. And sometimes the job titles don't necessarily match that, which is frustrating. So yeah.
Do see
Yeah.
that a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely.